Welcome to the May 8th, 2023 meeting of the Revere City Council Zoning Subcommittee. All rise and salute the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of the members of the Zoning Subcommittee. Councilor Novoselsky. Absent. Councilor Powers. Absent. Councilor Silvestri.
Here.
Here. Councilor Visconti.
Here.
Here. Chairman Zambuto.
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. First item on this evening's agenda is special permit application from Arcadia Street LLC, 787 North Shore Road, requesting a special permit from the Revere City Council to enable the appellant to construct 5 townhouses on the property at 84 Arcadia Street.
Madam Attorney, name and address for the record, please.
My name is Nancy O'Neill, and I am an attorney located at 14 Proctor Avenue. I am here tonight on behalf of the applicant, Arcadia Street LLC, and I am joined here tonight by the applicant as well as our engineer, Rick Salvo. As discussed previously, this proposal is for townhouse use in the RB district where the 84 Arcadia Street property is located. Our proposal tonight is for the construction of 5 townhouses at the 84 Arcadia Street property. Which you can see here in its current state. So the property currently consists of a pre-existing non-conforming multifamily building constructed around 1878, which has long blighted this neighborhood. That dilapidated building would be removed and replaced with 5 luxury owner-occupied townhomes. So this lot is well suited to this type of development, as the lot is very large. It's approximately 17,000 square feet. And as you can see here, it forms a rough L shape. So the proposed townhouses are configured non-intrusively so that the two townhouses will be situated on the frontage, appearing like any other home on the street, and 3 townhouses will be situated at the back of the property and largely screened from view with the new landscaping that is planned for the site. So this property will be cleaned, and parking will also be added to the site where no usable parking spaces currently exist. 10 parking spaces, amounting to 2 per townhouse, will be added to the property, meeting requirements. The townhouses are otherwise dimensionally compliant and remove the existing nonconformities in front and rear yard setbacks. So tonight's proposal represents a significant improvement over the current state of the property, as it will restore parking on the parcel, lessen congestion, eliminate zoning nonconformities, and provide improved landscaping. In addition to these benefits, the property will be improved by the state-of-the-art MassDEP approved stormwater system, which system was received favorably by the Revere Conservation Commission at their meeting last week. So this stormwater system, in layman's terms, will provide approximately 5,000 cubic feet of stormwater storage, which would exceed the capacity needed for a 100-year storm event. So this stormwater system alone is a major improvement for the site, which, as I noted before, dates back to 1878. So overall, the townhouses are an improvement at the property and will provide parking, landscaping, and stormwater controls to the neighborhood. And finally, the townhouses will be sold and form owner-occupied properties, providing 5 home ownership opportunities in the city of Revere. And for these reasons, we respectfully request the special permit is granted, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilors, I'll have to call committee members first. Councilor Silvestri.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's a great project. My only question is, before, when it was earlier, the Arcadia Street project, there was concern about fire engine apparatus being able to get down there and successfully make that turn. Is that, how do you get around that issue.
Sure, for the record, Rick Sal with Engineering Alliance. The site plan. So we met with the fire prevention officer on a couple different occasions, especially at site plan review. We've designed this to have 22-foot drive aisles, so there's enough room that was satisfactory to the fire department to be able to get in there if they ever needed to get in there. Relative to getting in there and turning around, it's probably more likely that an ambulance would have a propensity to need to do that more so than a fire engine. It's unlikely that fire engines would ever pull into that site, and they were satisfied with the 22-foot aisle width, that there was enough room for them to be able to get in there, and with this configuration here, be able to back up, turn around and get out.
I very rarely make a mistake, but the ward council wasn't here at roll call, so I didn't see him show up. So, Council Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Chairman. Sir, would you come back up to the podium, please? Based on your knowledge and experience with the drainage system throughout the city and particularly down there, are you certain that this system will work well for the people down there?
Yeah, I mean, just to elaborate, obviously, that whole area is in a floodplain, which is what caused us to have to go to the Conservation Commission in the first place. When you do a project like this in the floodplain, you're required to meet all the DEP stormwater standards, which we did design this project to be fully compliant. I don't want to mislead anyone to think that any improvement could be done on a 17,000 square foot lot that would solve the problems of the neighborhood. We certainly exceeded what we could do on this lot. We utilized a pervious pavement solution that has a 5,000 cubic foot reservoir course underneath it that's designed to be able to hold any runoff that's created by this site. We exceeded the 100-year storm capacity, so we designed this thing as big as we could within the meets and bounds that we had. So certainly it's a significant improvement over the stormwater that's generated from this site. However, you know, that area will always be susceptible to flooding and that sort of thing. So this site won't solve the problems for the neighborhood, but we're certainly minimizing the impact that this site had on the neighborhood relative to stormwater.
Well, that is my main concern, the flooding down there. And I'll tell you why. We just spent, I think, $700,000 cleaning the Eastern County ditch, which runs from Wonderland to Arcadia Street and then out to the central pump of the B&M tracks. We also tripled the capacity of the catch basins down, all brand-new catch basins. The lateral lines tripled in capacity as well as the main lines. So that should help a lot. I just wanted to get your opinion with regard to this system that's going in there.
Yeah, so, you know, in the past, this particular piece of property contributed a certain amount of stormwater runoff to that very infrastructure. In the post-development condition, it'll add zero to that infrastructure. We're managing it all on site now.
Again, that's my main concern. I've been down there when they've had at least 5 or 6 inches of water on the street, as far up as Elk Island Street and Elton Street.
Yeah, understood.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Rick, you want to just give your name and address and your credentials so the audience can know that you're not just some guy up here talking.
Sure,
that
I
you
think
are
I did.
credentialed to do this kind of work.
Rick Salvo, Engineering Alliance, office at 194 Central Street in Saugus, Mass. Registered professional engineer in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Thank you.
Now everybody knows who you are. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The last meeting we had that was proposed, the townhouses, one of the constituents came up and asked how many trees would be removed and if you could put them back. So I just want to know how many trees are being removed down there, because I know it's a dead end. Is that where it is? A dead end?
It's near the dead end,
Yes.
but not quite all the way down there. So, yeah, and that came up at site plan review. It also came up at the Conservation Commission last week as well. So there's 9 trees being removed. Out of those 9 trees that are being removed, I think about 3 of them are ready to come down. They're diseased, dead. But we are planting 9 trees back. Conservation Commission last week approved the species. They're all native species, so we're going to get rid of some of the invasive stuff that's there and put all new native trees back there.
Great to hear, thank you.
Council Visconti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My only question is, the water drainage system, that's not going to have any effect to the neighboring, the neighbors. You know, you hear so many times that, you know, a development or a house gets built and then the next door neighbor all of a sudden is getting water. I assume that's going to take the place of that and make sure that that doesn't happen?
Sure, yeah, great question. Right now, there's no stormwater control, so water runs off in all different directions. In the post-development condition, everything gets handled on-site, managed on-site. There's curbs on-site that prevent it from flowing off-site onto the neighboring properties.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other councilors? Okay. Nobody in the audience has any comments? Oh, there's a neighbor. Mr. Paziali,
So,
name and
yes,
address.
Anthony Paziali, 51 Arcadia Street. I was present at the Conservation Committee meeting, and then I went and talked to everybody in my neighborhood and tried to explain it to them the best I could about the water storage. Everybody seems to be really happy with the system that they're going to put in. I talked to the people that were concerned about the trees and told them that 9 new trees were going to be put in. Everybody seems really happy about that. Another big concern over there was a concern about a hawk in a tree. I'd like to thank the developer for giving me permission to go on the property and investigate. We were able to, I mean, it was high up, but I was able to get up. There was nothing in there, and there is a crow that has kind of been flying around in that area, so we do not have a hawk in that tree for those that might be concerned about it. The neighborhood is really excited to have the 5 townhouses. We all believe it'll bring our property values up. We're not we're satisfied with the water mitigation system that they're putting in, and we'd really appreciate if the subcommittee would kick it up to the council and let's pass this permit. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. Madam Clerk? Yes, please read the conditions into the record.
Site Plan Review has issued the following conditions for the special permit for the City Council to consider. 1, the final landscaping and tree planting plan shall be approved by the Site Plan Review Committee, including the planting of additional trees within the front of the property and side yards where abutting existing residential uses are. In addition, all existing mature trees shall be marked and only removed where necessary for the installation of utilities, parking, and building foundations. A sewer connection and water connection permit must be obtained from the DPW for all new construction. The city engineer and DPW superintendent must review and approve the proposed sewer service and water service plan, as well as stormwater management plan and erosion control plan. Hydrant flow tests shall be conducted to determine the adequacy of both domestic and fire flow for the proper sizing of domestic and fire flow service lines to the proposed project. Plans for the location of additional hydrants shall be approved by the Revere Fire Department. This development is subject to an order of conditions by the Conservation Commission. The recorded copy of the order of conditions shall be filed with the building inspector prior to the issuance of a building permit. The project proponent must pay a sewer mitigation fee, which is based on 10 times 110 gallons per bedroom times $1.30 per gallon. Based on the proposed 15 bedrooms, the sewer mitigation fee shall be $21,450. The sewer mitigation fee shall be utilized to remove inflow and infiltration from entering the sewer system and shall be paid to the City of Revere in 2 installments, 50% prior to the issuance of the building permit and 50% prior to the issuance of an occupancy permit. Concrete sidewalks shall be installed along the full frontage of the property. All existing drains, water lines, and sewer lines within the site shall be abandoned and shall be capped at the main and removed. The building design and materials plan, as well as the landscaping and streetscape plan, shall be approved by the Site Plan Review Committee. These plans shall be filed as part of the building permit application. All landscapes and open areas are to be maintained by the owner of the property, and the owner must submit a yearly property landscape maintenance agreement program to the Department of Inspectional Services for execution. The annual landscape maintenance program shall include the replacement of all trees and shrubs which may be damaged within the project site, weed control, mulching, grass cutting, watering, and fertilizing. The owner of the property shall be responsible for the removal of all litter and debris within the project site. In accordance with Chapter 1747 of the revised ordinances of the City of Revere, the Capital Improvement Trust Fund is applicable to this project. Under the CIT Fund ordinance, the developer must contribute 3% of the cost of construction above and beyond what is allowed by right towards the fund, which shall be spent exclusively towards capital improvement projects within the impacted area. For the purpose of this special permit, the CIT fee for this development is $17,496. The height of the structure shall not exceed 35 feet and 3 stories. An elevation plan must be submitted to the building inspector showing the building height measured from the property grade to the peak of the roof not to exceed 35 feet.
I'm sorry, if I could just interject. I know the conditions noted that there are 15 bedrooms, but there are 12 in the project. I have the plans here, if I could show you.
So we'll need to make that correction in that new, have to deduct the money too. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
fine.
Just a minute, get rid of that one sentence that has the dollar figure and then base the SOAR mitigation fee on 12 bedrooms.
Right. Just saved your client money.
Yeah. The project proponent, so the zoning board will amend, the zoning subcommittee would offer the amendment. The project proponent must pay a SOAR mitigation fee, which is based on 10 times 110 gallons per bedroom at $1.30 per gallon, based on the proposed 12 bedrooms. And then the SOAR mitigation fee can be calculated by the site plan review committee based on the 12 bedrooms.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Shall the zoning subcommittee offer a favorable recommendation on the site plan review committee, subject to the conditions offered by site plan review? Councilor Novoselsky is absent. Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes. And Chairman Zambudo?
Yes,
Yes, the special permit has received a favorable recommendation for the full city council this evening.
thank you.
Based childcare businesses.
Good evening. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time for tonight, but we can get a little something started here anyway.
In not enough time to deliberate on this, or?
No, we can do a little deliberating, but we only got 6 minutes.
I'll do what I can. So you heard the preamble the last time I spoke in front of the council, so I'll leave that out for now. But I did want to address a few things that we talked about at the last council meeting. And number one was the special permit threshold for approving home-based childcare. So we did a state-level analysis, both members of our advisory committee and my department, and looked at what other communities across the Commonwealth are doing with this item, family home-based childcare. And we split it up between small and large to look at how they were treated. We looked at 53 communities in total, including all those around us in the direct vicinity. 52 of the 53, or 98% of those communities, allow small home-based childcare by right, so that's 6 children or less. 37 of the 53 communities, or 70%, allow large home-based childcare by right. And that includes 22 of the 37 that didn't have it listed in their ordinance altogether. Because of a clause in Mass General Law, this particular use, if you don't include it in your ordinance, is allowed by right. And 0 of the 53 communities, or 0%, prohibit pools in their ordinance. So just to go and kind of own in on that point a little bit more, according to EEC regulations, the required outdoor play area, as you might recall, you have an outdoor play area that's required. must be free of a water hazard, and there must be a permanent 4-foot-tall barrier around it. Any water areas that are on the property require fences, self-locking gates, and other appropriate barriers. And all of these sites are subject to a yearly inspection, but also drop-ins at any given time. So with that particular item, we actually suggested a tweak in the language where I think before it said swimming pools will be allowed if they comply with applicable requirements, both local and state. We just changed the language a bit to say no swimming pools located on the premises of the family child care home will be allowed unless they comply with both the local and the state regulations, and in both cases they're cited. Again, we'd be the only community of the 53 that we looked at that would be prohibiting this. I know it's always harder for government to sort of pry away control in certain situations when they already have it. I think this would be an easier conversation to have if this wasn't already in the ordinance, because it's just the standard for how this is operated across the Commonwealth. I wanted to just bring up those points of research that we looked at after our last conversation to allow you to consider, number one, we have some existing childcare sites with pools. How do we operate safely within the confines of the law? And then number two, with that special permit piece, I would certainly hope you would consider at bare minimum aligning with the other 98% of the communities we looked at and allowing small home-based childcare by right. But also, we would still be within the majority in the area that we looked at by allowing large home-based childcare by right as well. But if that is not something that this group or the full council would be amenable to, we could talk through some other options that I think there's space in the middle for compromise. So I'll leave it at that for now and take any questions that you might have.
Well, I appreciate that, and we'll certainly discuss this further in another meeting, but I appreciate the research you've done. I know that there's a pretty strong appetite to keep a special permit here, but we'll see how that works itself out.
Okay, thank
Any
you.
committee members?
Tony, I just have one question.
Go ahead, Council Powers.
Sir, you mentioned, and I'm asking this question for a particular reason. You mentioned fencing around. What would the height be of that fence?
4 feet,
4 feet.
correct.
You feel that's adequate for animals or dogs or anything that might jump over that fence that are unleashed, which they shouldn't be?
That's a good question. So, in this case, we're thinking about children getting in, of course, and none of my children can climb a 4-foot tall fence yet, and they're all of daycare age. But certainly with animals and pets and the like, this would be the same standard that we're aligning to that's within our local zoning ordinance. So hopefully that keeps that in mind as well. And I think only most athletic of dogs could probably leap over that barrier. No, right. And then the other statistic we did get from the EEC on pools, bringing it back to children, is that there have been no cases of children drowning in any EEC licensed pools across the Commonwealth, and according to their records.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We wouldn't want to be the first. Council Silvestri.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tom, thank you for the data and information, and we spoke earlier today, and I understand. Would we be out of the norm if the city thought about putting like our own committee together that was an oversight committee on these? So as someone went and got a state permit, they came into the city, at that point maybe someone would go by the house and make sure that they're in line with the regulations. Maybe, I know it's done yearly, but something that the city could put together that we have a little more oversight. Maybe the council would be a little more comfortable with something like that.
It's a good question. I think, one, we certainly have an existing group that meets every Tuesday at 10 o'clock, site plan review. And that could be also another effective middle ground to have site plan review meet every week to take these on. I would add, just as an administrative burden for the city council to take on all these new special permit applicants when we'd have over 50 that would be looking to expand. This could be a more nimble way to approach that and to have kind of regular eyes on the project. So thank you for the question.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Wells is here. Maybe he can speak on that.
Go, Say that again?
Mr. Wells?
Of course.
Good evening, councilors. Michael Wells, Director of Inspectional Services, City of Revere.
Welcome, Director.
Thank you. We have roughly 75 child care facilities right now in the city. When was the last time anybody voted on a special permit?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilor Sereno.
that's a point that I wanted to bring up, that according to the ordinances, I believe that special permits should have been
Right,
coming before
exactly.
us. And
So-
why haven't?
Right, but when was the last time you voted on a special permit for a child care facility in Revere?
Never.
Well, that may be the answer, but the question is, why not?
No.
And how
The
have
question is, when was the last time we voted
How
on
have the
one?
permits been issued without a special permit?
The
Would be
part
my
of, part of the
question.
problem is we were never aligned with the state's ordinance or the state's criteria. We were always, we had 4 kids, no swimming pools. If that was the case, we'd have 0 daycare facilities in our city. 0. So I can assure you that nobody on this council has voted for a special permit in the last 10-plus years for a child care facility.
So that tells me that there's something wrong in the system here.
Mr.
And
Chairman,
that's why
you
we're
make an
here,
assumption.
Counselor.
And-
That's why we're here.
and that's why-
However, from an inspectional services point of view, a couple of things that we would like to see in this child care ordinance. Number one, if the property, the daycare provider is not the property owner, they would need some sort of agreement with the property owner that the property owner is aware that the child care facility is going into their property. Okay?
I like that.
And number two, a good standing check on the property, and to ensure that there are no code violations in the property and that they're not part of our safe housing task force.
Yeah, that's common sense.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other councilors? Okay, we're out of time for tonight, but we'll,
Mr. Chairman, I'll give leeway, since my Legislative Affairs Committee is next, I'll give some leeway to continue.
okay, well, that doesn't mean that I want to continue the meeting.
But you just said you didn't want to continue because there's another meeting.
No. I said my meeting time is up. I may want to continue now, but I don't like to be dictated to by my colleagues. Do you have something else, Tom?
I'd be happy to go into more detail if you'd like. I mean, I don't know how robust you'd like the conversation to be right now, so I'll defer to you.
Is there something specific you want to go into tonight and that can't wait till the next meeting we hold on this?
I thought we were going to have a vote today on the ordinance changes itself, so I
there's no
misunderstood
chance of
and
that.
prepared differently for it, so.
I don't think we have enough information to vote on this tonight, not in my eyes, and I'm the chairman of the committee.
Okay,
So,
well, then I'll keep it at that. What more information would you like my office to put together to put you all at ease when you're making this decision?
well, just give me whatever you want at the next meeting. Bring me a complete presentation, and then that'll be the night that we'll have a good amount of time to debate it, and then we'll vote on it that night.
Mr. Chairman,
Council Morabito.
this information on the zoning amendments was provided over a month ago. So the question is, in the month span that you got that package, how much of that did you review?
All right.
And how many
Council Morabito.
questions do
Council
you have? And I
Morabito.
mean that with all due respect.
Council Morabito, you're not on the committee, and at this point, you're out of order.
I will remember that.
Good. Thank you. This concludes the committee for tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome to the Legislative Affairs Subcommittee. Today is Monday, May 8th. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Roll call of the members of the Legislative Affairs Subcommittee. Councilor Novoselsky. Councilor Novoselsky? Here. Councilor Powers?
Here?
Here. Councilor Silvestri?
Here.
Here. Council President McKenna?
Here.
Here. And Chairman Morabito?
Here.
Here. A quorum is present.
Today we have two items on the agenda. Agenda item 1, 23-031, communication from the Election Commissioner requesting that the City Council opt in to early voting for 2023 municipal elections. Mr. Fahey? Name for the record, address.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Fahey, Election Commissioner. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I appeared before the council back in late January, early February, to say that the board had decided to recommend that we opt into early voting for local elections under the Votes Act. That is an action that the city can take. It's not a mandatory thing. You agreed to that, which we appreciate. At that time, we weren't clear as to sort of what the scope of the election would be. Obviously, that has changed with the former mayor's resignation and a fairly active election anticipated. So you had agreed at my request to send this to committee until we had more information, and now we do. So I've sent a communication, which is what my board is recommending in terms of the early voting hours. It would be very similar to what we did in the state and midterm election last year. Assuming we have a preliminary, which is highly likely, we would do 1 week of early voting at City Hall. It will be in this room. As we did last time, we worked closely with the clerk and with our great DPW staff to kind of reset the room to make sure that any meetings that are scheduled in here take place. Obviously, most of this takes place during the day. If there's a time that there's a meeting in here, we will direct folks downstairs to our office. But because it's going to be a busy election, we wanted to have a separate organization to do that. And similarly to what we did for the general election last year, we would do 2 weeks. And this is all consistent with the Votes Act. So I wanted to bring this back to you. I'd ask the committee to recommend this schedule to the full council, and I'm happy to answer any questions any of the committee members or any of the other councilors have. Thank you.
Do any committee members have questions? Councilor Silvestri.
Paul, is that straight Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week for those 2 weeks, or is it just Monday through Friday?
Thank you, Councilor. Yeah, we're going to follow, under the Votes Act, if we're going to do this, the recommendation is that you do have hours on the weekends. So during the weekdays, we will follow, for September, we know the schedule that's in place, the modified schedule. For the November dates, I am assuming, because I had to make an assumption, that the schedule would go back to the old schedule. We'll adjust either way. So basically, if City Hall's open Monday through Friday, early voting will be in place. But on the weekends, for 1 weekend and for the preliminary election, and then for 2 weekends with the general election, we would be here from 10 to 2 on Saturday and Sunday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other members?
Sir,
Councilor Powers.
I just have one question, one concern. We have handicap parking outside where people would come in, walk to get to the elevator to go up to the council chamber, okay? Is there any way we could make at least 2, maybe 3 spaces available during the time when City Hall is open, so that it would make it a little easier for people to drive up here and come in and make their vote and leave?
Councilor, thank you for that. I think that's really good input. I'll have to see who I need
If
to
you
talk
can
to
hold
about
off
that.
on that.
Sure.
Councilor, if you want to meet with Mr. Fahey after the meeting and discuss this, that would be great. But the agenda item we want to stay on time.
No,
and
I
stay on
understand,
topic.
I understand that, but he's
So-
here, and I just had to ask the question to make sure, we're all on the same page.
Mr.
Thank
Chairman,
you.
I will absolutely pursue that and report back to the council. I think that's a really good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Excellent. Madam Clerk,
Sure. Roll call of the subcommittee members to authorize early in-person voting for a favorable recommendation to the full city council. Councilor Novoselsky? Yes. Yes. Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes. Council President McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. And Chairman Morbido?
Yes.
Yes, this communication has received a favorable recommendation and will be forwarded to the full city council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next item on the agenda is an ordinance further amending the revised ordinances of the City of Revere concerning boards and commissions.
State your name and address.
Clarence Arillo, City, I almost said City Solicitor, City Policy Analyst and Writer, 281 Broadway.
Claire, if you can just summarize the ordinance, how we came to changing the ordinance, why they were changed, what was the importance of it?
Of course. So as you all may know, these ordinance updates were submitted to the council just over 6 weeks ago. And since then, I have appeared before this body explaining some of the general reasons for the revisions. To sum it up in 2 words, I would say consistency and efficiency were the main goals here. Most, if not all, required grammatical edits to remain consistent with the rest of our municipal code. However, as I've mentioned, others required more in-depth changes regarding membership count, general functions, duties. So just quickly, I'm going to do a board-by-board brief summary before we get into questions. Affordable Housing Board of Trustees. We basically changed around language to allow for the role of the chair to be rotated amongst members. It's currently more of a stagnant position, so we wanted to increase flexibility for different people to take on that role if they wish. And we removed the need for the mayor to approve the council president's role on that board. The position on the board is already attached to your role as council president. There's no need to confirm that. The Board of Health is dictated by Mass General Law. However, within our city ordinance, we wanted to remove the outdated language. I believe it's from the 40s or 50s. It's something really outdated, dictating that the board's oversight is in milk and dairy product storage. This is already covered in the state law. We updated our Sydney ordinance to reflect on the local level more the public safety aspect of the Board of Health. Our Council on Elder Affairs, we changed the membership count after consulting with the Director of Elder Affairs. We instituted a term limit to allow for different members to try to serve on this council. And we removed just some language that states that the council conducts research studies. This is not being done. We changed it to more of a general language surrounding programs and events, special festivities, stuff like that. Board of Trustees of the Public Library, after consulting with their chair, Mark, we changed the membership to reflect a range instead of a constant number. We're keeping this streamlined throughout all of our city ordinances. We removed language mentioning the Friends of the Library. This is an inactive, dormant group. They can, if they decide to re-up again, we can certainly have interested members serve on that board, but they don't exist as of right now. And after consulting with our city CFO, Richard Viscay, he confirmed that the board does not have expenditure power over employee salaries, so this was removed as it's not within the board's scope. The Public Art Commission, we made some grammatical edits. There was a little bit of redundant vocabulary and some capitalization inconsistencies. We also updated the membership range, which made us change the initial term staggerings that I'm sure you all are familiar with. It says, upon establishment, if you have X amount of members, so many shall serve for so many years. So we had to change that since we changed the membership. And the one you're all most interested in, I'm sure, is the Human Rights Commission. Some of our general updates include a membership change. We're providing for a range, same as our other ordinances. Since we established a range, we had to change quorum amounts, things like that. We updated the list of protected classes. Our city's original ordinance from 1994 did not even include gender as a discriminatory class, so you can imagine there are some updates there. And the big chunk that was changed is the mediation power. Our Human Rights Commission in Revere has no judicial authority. This comes from adopting Mass General Law, Chapter 233, Section 8. Big cities like Boston and LA have this sort of power. Revere does not, so we removed the judicial authority that's vested in the original language. We do not have the manpower or the training available to address alleged human rights violations. This we leave to law enforcement, and we also have the Massachusetts Commission Against Discrimination that exists for this purpose. Our commission can serve as just a resource if you need their phone number, access to their website. The ordinance proposed before you now reflects the advocacy and educational work being done by the HRC with regards to completely voluntary community workshops, educational events, and awareness days. And to close, since I know we don't have much time, I just want to reiterate that as the city's policy writer and analyst, it is my job to mitigate legal risk to the city and the public to the greatest extent possible. Our ordinances are the backbone of our legal infrastructure and our everyday operations. The clerk's office can attest to that. Therefore, we need consistent and updated language across the board. And with that, I am happy to answer any questions the committee members have.
Thank you for that summary. Any committee members? Councilor Sereno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, through you to Claire, thank you for coming up tonight. And just for the edification of the public, I just kind of wanted to touch on the Human Rights Commission for 1 second. I'm very pleased with the revisions that you're proposing, because the Human Rights Commission, in my opinion, should not be a judicious or judicial body. These are appointees, some political appointees, various just appointees in general. I think it's a good idea to have the executive director if there is a discrimination issue or a resident feels that they are being discriminated against, that the executive director privately with that resident can, explain to them their options, be it through the Attorney General's office or the Massachusetts Commission Against Discrimination. That's the appropriate avenue and course for that. The Human Rights Commission should be, as Mayor Arrigo had explained to me originally when he asked for my support of it in 2019, or 2020 rather, that it should be a city board that plans and promotes diversity and, hosts flag raisings for Pride Month, or commemorating Black History Month or Women's History Month. That should be what that body ought to be doing. I personally, as a city councilor, was really troubled when the Revere History Museum, which is a very well-respected nonprofit organization in this city, was brought before this Human Rights Commission 2 years ago, and essentially the Human Rights Commission had to entertain an anonymous complaint about the fact that the History Museum wasn't, or was, there was racism or whatever it was or was not. It really upset me that these volunteers who work very hard in that Revere History Museum to make something so special for our community had to be brought through that for a board or commission that, quite frankly, didn't have that authority, in my opinion, to be doing that. So, and there were other instances where residents had to be, hold mediations and whatnot, and I just didn't feel that that would be or would have been the proper venue for those. So I'm very pleased to see that we've flushed that out and kind of brought the Human Rights Commission back to at least how it was presented to us when Mayor Arrigo kind of presented it privately to the councilors and showed, explained to us what his vision for it was. So with that, I'm happy to support these changes. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad you're pleased and I'm glad you're happy, Councilor. Does anyone else on the committee have any questions? Seeing Councilor Silvestri.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say that Clay did some amazing work, and I'm sure it took you a ton of time and research. So I just want to commend you for all that work done, because it shows here, and thank you very much.
I want to thank you as well for just the latitude, checking in with me on a weekly basis after giving me that 180-page docket, and ask me every week, do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? So you were very, very diligent, and you were on top of your game, and you did a lot of work, you and the solicitor's office, so thank you. On that note, we'll take a roll call to report it out favorably.
Shall the Legislative Affairs offer a favorable recommendation to adopt the ordinance as presented? Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes. And Chairman Morbido?
Yes.
Yes, the ordinance will be forwarded to the full city council this evening, as presented.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, counselors.